Hello cousins, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Big Mama Cooks and I have an Instagram page where I post recipes all the time at Big Mama Cooks _. Today's recipe is none other than Rabo guisado or Rabo encendido or braised oxtails on the stovetop. This recipe has been solicited a number of times in my Instagram page and I finally made it on the stovetop, not in the pressure cooker, so more people can have access to it. Let's get right to it. I am going to be using 5 pounds of oxtails. I had my oxtails trimmed and cut at the butcher. I also washed and cleaned my oxtails with ample lime and vinegar. I'm gonna go right in to seasoning my oxtails. All of the ingredients are going to be listed in the bottom bar. I am starting with 3 tablespoons of sofrito and 2 tablespoons of garlic paste. Next, I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of black pepper. I know it seems like a lot, but the point of Rabo encendido is for it to have a kick. And black pepper is the kick for the Rabo encendido. Then I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of cumin, ground cumin or comino. And then I'm going in with 2 yellow seasoning packets. I always like to note that I like to use the seasoning packets from the Accent brand. These are the condiment seasoning packets in orange and yellow, and I like to use this brand because they give great color and great flavor and they're not so salty, so they work really well with the food all the time. I'd note the noise you guys heard in the background was the train passing by. This is the Bronx for you. Then I go in with a little adobo just over the top. I'm going to say about a tablespoon of adobo and some soy sauce, about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Soy sauce is very important for the flavor building and the color. Then this is my little secret recipe. You see coffee? Is that coffee? Yes, that is coffee. This is amazing flavor building. I use 2 teaspoons of coffee just over the top. Do not omit this step. This is my secret weapon to Rabo. I'm going to mix everything really well and then come back and add in 2 tablespoons of ground oregano. Again, mixing everything really well, getting all the flavors in there. All of the sazon is going to be into this Rabo, and then I'm going to come back and add in a little cooking wine. This is optional because at this point you can add in your rum, your brandy, your whiskey, your beer, whatever alcohol you want to use. You can add this in. Mix it really well, and then we're going to go into the marinating. I'm going to cover my Rabo really well with some aluminum foil, and I'm going to let this sit in the fridge for minimum 3 hours, best overnight. It was 10 a.m. when I started seasoning my meat, and I didn't start cooking until 3:30 p.m. After my meat has been marinating in the fridge for a few hours or overnight, I'm going to go ahead and add in about 2 tablespoons of oil to a really large pot. I'm going to have the flame on high, and then I'm going to come in and add 2 teaspoons of sugar, and I'm going to brown the sugar. Again, this step can also be omitted. This is also personal preference, but I like to brown my sugar for that intense brown color and a little added flavor when I'm putting in my meat. So now that my sugar has completely browned, I'm going to add in my oxtails one by one. And I'm going to let my oxtails brown for 10 minutes. Not going to move them, not going to touch them. Again, this is on high heat. I'm going to cover the pot. And at the end of those 10 minutes, when I come back, a lot of moisture has happened. So a lot of juices have been released from the oxtails. And I'm going to add in 2 cups of water, mix everything together, and this is going to go on high heat for 30 minutes covered with a little slit. Make sure to always leave the little slit. When I come back at the end of those 30 minutes, a lot of the water has evaporated and dried in. I'm going to add another 2 cups of water, and I am going to let this go on medium heat, so lower the heat, on medium heat for 1 hour and 20 minutes. Yes, this is a lengthy process, but on the stovetop, this is so worth it. As that hour and 20 minutes is coming to an end, I'm going to start prepping the veggies that I'm going to use to add into the oxtails. Ooh, that was a really good burn and not smart at all. I have 1 ají cubanello, I have 1 red bell pepper, 1 red onion sliced in half, and I have my cilantro wrapped around some recao. When I open up my pot at the end of that hour and 20 minutes, it looks like it's almost ready, right? We actually have another half hour to go. So I'm going to add in my veggies and 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. That's the first one you see. I added in the second one. So 2 tablespoons of tomato paste to build the thick, wonderful oxtail gravy that we all love. I'm gonna mix everything together and add in 1 cup of water. Just 1 cup of water. Mix everything well together and add in my cilantro and recao mix just over the top so it can release its flavors and the leaves aren't into the gravy. Gonna cover that for the last half hour on medium heat. Again, we're keeping this on medium heat. Wow, look at that. I'm going to remove all of my large vegetables. That's actually the reason why I leave my vegetables in large pieces, because it's easier to pull everything out later on. And the same reason why I wrap my cilantro with recao, because it's easier to pull out. I like to cut my red bell peppers in small pieces because it looks good during plating. Ooh, that little piece is for me. So after I remove all of the veggies from my meat, I come in and I'm going to skim all of the fat, well, as much as I can, as much fat from the top using a spoon. This to me is a necessary step because you get to see just how much grease accumulates at the top of cooking, and then you think, wow, we really eat all of that. If I don't skim this, we're going to ingest this. So I always take this extra precautionary step and I just remove as much grease as I'm able to from the top. After you're done skimming the grease from the top, you have officially made it to the end zone. Yes, it took you 2.5 hours, but your final product is tender, fall off the bone, flavorful, delicious oxtails. You did it. You made rabo. You made rabo guisado, rabo encendido, braised oxtails, stewed oxtails, browned oxtails, however you want to call this, you made it. I served mine with a side of moro de habichuela negra or black bean rice. And these plates you see here, these are the finished products from my family. You tell me if they were good. See you next time, cousins.